see the blue is the actual rate. That's what the rate is that we charge. And you can see we had one rate increase in 2006, October 2006, and it went up. And then this past March, this year, which was last month, the council voted to change the rate. And the top part is the actual cost of fuel. Next. Now, if you put all that together, the blue on the bottom is the total cost of fuel, and the top part is the standard or the operating cost. And you can see they run constant since 2005. We hadn't changed that. It's just the bottom line. Next. And to put where you can understand the total dollars to the house that you pay per kilowatt. In 2005, you paid 10 cents, and up till we raised it last month, we were paying 10 cents. And you can see we fluctuated pretty well between 10 and 11 cents all the way through. And every one of those entries you see there was the time that I adjusted the fuel adjustment charges. And that's what we ended up changing it to. That was the fuel cost plus the basic rate. Next. Now, gas rates is another one I've been getting a few phone calls. I imagine some of you as well. As you can see, last month I did raise the rate, and we can talk. I want to talk about that later. But when you see the cost has been steady all the way through, but if you look in December, the cost of energy went way down, and so I dropped the rate based on the cost of energy, which the ordinance requires. The only reason it went up in 310 is because another document I'll show you in a minute mandates that I have to cover expenses for each fiscal year. Go ahead. And just to give a historical on the cost per unit to your house, since 2005 to 310, those are all the changes. I wrote letters to the council and made the changes. Each one of those are notified to you, and those are all the changes every month that there was a change. And you can see in October of 05, it was $2.50, 52 cents, all the way up now it's $2.11. And just to ease some of your concerns about the cost of Fairhope gas, I took my own house, and I have gas hot water heater, and I live in a 1,900 square foot home, and that was my unit sold in December, January, February, March. And how much if I lived in Fairhope, and that's what I did, that's what I paid the city of Fairhope. And if I was on Mobile Gas, which is controlled by the Public Service Commission, you can see, even with that, our rates for the winter were 14.8% below the private sector. Go ahead. Now, I mentioned earlier about, and you had the document I handed to you, when we borrow money in revenue bonds, we have to sign all these indentures so we can borrow the money. And then the auditors each year actually make the treasurer sign off that we follow all those indentures. You'll see her signature signed by every one of those. That was this past year that went in the file that the auditors actually questioned her, make sure it was being done. So when staff tells me we have to go up, and there's all different people involved, that's the reason we went up. And the only reason we need to adjust that, and hopefully as we move forward with the ordinance, which I fully support, is that we're going to need to take in consideration, if we're not going to raise rates, we need to amend the budget because it's based on the budget. And you can see one part I wanted to point out, that we can't furnish anything for free. And a lot of times we get requests for people wanting free gas, free whatever. We can't do it. If they call us on it, even though we can afford it, it doesn't matter, we can't. We said we wouldn't. Next. And just as a recap, what we've already done, water rates have been up 23%, sewer rates are up 46%, electric rates up 17%, and of course a 2-cent sales tax. Next. And so before I move forward, I'd like the FACT committee, when y'all meet at the end of the month, I'm recommending that we drop the gas rates back 40 cents, which would put us at 163, and Mobile Gas currently is at 168. And yes, you can see there, I listed what your profit would be. Even dropping it 40 cents, we still have a $2 million profit. And with the times of people struggling and everything, I think we need to try to tighten our belt a little bit and see what we can do. And I threw out, just for get things debated and talked about, was an 80% transfer instead of a 60, which is budgeted currently. But I wanted to get that in front of you so you could study it, poke it around a little bit before we had the fact committee at the end of the month. Next. And our city administrator actually handed me a copy, and you've got a list of all the different requests from all the departments. And before I spend a lot of time, I'd like to get some answers from you and the fact committee as how you want me to fund this $51 million that they say we need. And these are all capital expenditures, which means $10 million more a year than we're currently bringing in the front door now. And that's a lot of money. And in today's environment, I think we need to think about it. And if the city wants to raise rates or revenues, which I don't believe you do, borrow more money, I think we need to study that awful hard. And of course, if you want me to work within the current revenues, I mean, that'll make a lot of facts before I move forward and sit down with Greg to actually decide what we're going to go forward with and what we want to fund to recommend to you before we go. But you can see I gave you the list of everybody in the world of things from everything you can imagine. And that pretty well sums up what I wanted to bring up on the 5-year plan. Rose will be going into more detail at the fact committee over the finances, and you'll get the full report. But I felt it was important to get these facts in front of you so you'd be able to study over the rest of the next couple of weeks before you had your next meeting. And then on a final couple other notes, before y'all vote and move forward, one item on the agenda